Hi guys, I'm Tasha from Travelandtash, and I'm talking today about the good, the bad and the ugly of 2018. I recently published a blog post where I share my achievements for 2018, but I want my video here to be a little bit different. Here I want to actually talk about a lot of the failures that I felt that I went through during 2018, all the aspirations and things that I hoped to achieve that I didn't come through on, and at the same time I want to be able to reflect on the lessons and the things that I learned from that process, and also to acknowledge that growth is a process, and that in order to actually experience growth you need to actually go through a journey of learning, and part of learning is actually failing. And I feel that it's very, very important to go through this stage before making new goals for the new year, because reflecting on what you've done gives you a chance to recognize yourself for everything that you've actually done that's good, and also everything that you can, all of the lessons that you can bring into the following year, this foundation, this solid strength that you're able to bring into your goals for the following year. One particular thing that was a very foundational strength for me in 2018 was my intense journaling. This was an idea that I took from Clark Kegley from Refusing to Settle, his YouTube channel. It was very, very influential for me in the early stages of 2017. And what I want to do is I want to show you briefly the difference that I went through with my journaling process. So for 2016, this was my journal. I picked this up in Athens at the Acropolis actually, and this literally was my journal from January 2016 all the way through to December. And right at the tail end, it's when I began to get interested in Tony Robbins and some of the lessons that I began to learn by watching some of his seminars through YouTube. That was 2016, my journaling. 2017 was all of this. So 2017 was a lot of writing down thoughts and growth from watching a lot of videos that I began to consume with a passion. And 2018, so this was 2017. This is 2018. I went through 3 really thick journals and one, I started off with a really thin one. So that is my my journaling for 2018. And I feel that a lot of the strength that I've gathered has really come from this process of journaling, and I really can't underestimate how valuable that is. I've already begun my journal for 2019, which is right here, and in this I'm beginning to identify some of my goals. But before I do that, and that will be a video for another time, I really want to talk about 2018 itself. And so without much further ado, I'm going to take you through some of the actual goals that I had at the beginning of 2018. Initially, I'd planned to publish 12 books, self-published 12 books on Amazon. And I was really excited about doing this, and I think that I really seriously overshot with how much time I thought I had and how much skill I thought I had. I had to go through, a learning curve to actually understand the process of how to self-publish, how to write a book. And in fact, rather than publishing 12 books, I published 2. Now, that in itself was a great accomplishment, but nevertheless, I had actually planned to publish 12. And from that, I really seriously realized that I can't create goals that are just such an overshot, considering that I work a full-time job, and considering that I also focus a lot of time and energy on my YouTube channel and also on my website. And I also have an Instagram page and other social media that I manage too. I just didn't give myself enough time, anywhere near enough time to actually come through on that goal. My goal initially had been to have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of 2018, and I have nowhere near that. I've actually got 48 subscribers as of today, which is January the 2nd. Get a mentor. I did not get a mentor. I have still not arranged to have a private mentor mentoring me once a month. I have not read 6 books that that are essentially for mindset and growth and business. I did not start an Audible account. That's one of my goals, is to actually start listening to books, because I have a whole list of books that that are in the lineup for me to start consuming. I had the goal under my relationships category to connect more with my father and my brother. And while I did that vaguely, I didn't really do that to the extent that I planned to. I'm pretty close with my sister who lives in the UK, but I had planned to actually spend more time connecting with my dad and my brother, and that didn't really happen this year. I had lots of goals with my to improve my relationship with my boyfriend at the time, but in the middle of the year I actually broke up with him, and so we went our separate ways, and as a result all of my goals to improve our relationship kind of just went poof, and I suddenly was no longer focused on relationship goals, intimate relationship goals. I did not meet my financial goals for the income that I planned to receive from book publishing, and the reason being is that I didn't recognize how much marketing entailed, and as a result I didn't do a great job marketing my books, and for that reason they have not been financially successful. I did not take the time or put a focus on learning about how to invest in index funds. That was another goal. I simply didn't make it a priority. So, you know, one thing that I really recognized from this list of goals was that I made way too many lists. I actually had categories for relationships, categories for health, many different categories that in fact I couldn't even keep tabs on all of my goals. I've actually got extensive goals throughout the pages for different categories of life, and what I realized was that although I was modeling mentors like Stefan James from Project Life Mastery, what I didn't realize was that he's been doing this process of goal setting for years, and therefore he could manage having extensive goals in many different categories of life, and me as a newbie to goal setting really needed a much simpler plan for goals, and I just bit off way more than I could chew. So so having said that, let me take you through some of the things that I'm really proud of that I did achieve. And I think that this process of self-recognition is part of learning to accept yourself, and that process of loving yourself, recognizing that you're enough. And that is another thing that I'm also working on. And for that reason, I like to publish at the end of the year an article about what I have achieved for that year. I'm going to link in down below so that you can find it. It's on travelandtash.com, and the article is called Accomplishments That Make Me Feel Proud. And I'm going to go over some of the highlights. So this is under the section of personal, my personal accomplishments that make me feel proud. And number one was that I've developed so much more self-confidence, and I really, I put that down to a variety of things, including my journaling, but particularly my mantras the hypnosis, the self-hypnosis of going through affirmations, and that is after doing yoga. About 2 or 3 times a week, what I'll do is I'll listen to mantras that help you change your idea of who you believe you are. They begin to change your identity, and so you begin to retrain your thoughts so that you begin to see yourself as a better version of you. And that was a very, very important part of my process in gaining self-confidence. And another part of that process has also been to start making steps toward my larger goals, to actually start identifying goals and to start working toward them. And with every little accomplishment, I began to feel a boost of strength, recognizing that, hey, you know, if I make this goal, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And that sense of pride that you get from achieving something is very, very empowering, and begins to slowly build your self-confidence, which begins to impact all your relationships with other people and how you see yourself and how other people see you. So it's a very, very interesting knock-on effect. Okay, so number 2 under personal categories, I've not put pressure on myself to date or allow social norms, particularly here in my home of South Korea, to influence my decision to be single. Here in South Korea, there's a lot of pressure to be part of a couple, and you're kind of seen as strange, or there's something wrong with you if you're not married by the age of 30, or if you're not dating or something like that. And, you know, while that isn't, you know, while I may be in this culture currently, I don't allow those cultural norms here to make me feel as though I'm doing something wrong. And it's very, very interesting because, you know, I became single back in August this year, or August 2018, and it's, you know, for the first time in my life, I actually feel comfortable and happy single. And it's a crazy feeling because I've always felt that if I'm not in a relationship, that I need to actually be in a relationship. You know, you see so many other couples around you, especially if you're in your 30s, you know, almost everybody's paired off, and you feel that that is the norm. And allowing myself to just focus on me and focus on learning about what is it that I want, what is it that I need, what is it that I want of my future, without having to compromise with anybody else, because I'm not part of a relationship yet. And it's wonderfully liberating. Achieving little steps toward my goals helps to validate myself every day, and that I don't need to search for that in somebody else anymore. I don't need to search for, oh, you know, you're amazing, or you're great, or you're strong, or you're, you know, any kind of compliment from anybody else. I just don't need it, and I don't need it anymore. And it's so liberating. It's wonderful. I'm not saying that a compliment from somebody isn't nice, but what I'm saying is that I don't need it anymore, because I know within me that I'm gaining strength and that I believe in myself. Another goal that I achieved was that I traveled to 4 different countries this year, including the Philippines, England, Spain, and Italy. I'm actually just referring to my article as I'm recording right now, to remind me of my points. I consciously decided to leave an unsupportive romantic relationship, and I've surrounded myself hugely by supportive people. I'm becoming much more acutely aware of who are the people that are supportive, who are the people that are positive, and who are the people that are draining and negative and complain all the time. And having this strength to filter out all the negativity and to just invite in all of the people that add something valuable to my life. And it's funny because, you know, there's a saying that you are the average of the top 5 people that you surround yourself with. And so I'm really beginning to feel the effects of this particular idea. I'm currently saving funds for a year-long trip through Asia. I'm going to be leaving my job in the latter half of 2019. I know that India and Philippines are really high on my list, but just to make that decision to actually walk away from my job and give myself that chance to just do self-exploration and to just, you know, record videos as I travel, for me, you know, that's like a dream come true. I've been doing a lot more online courses, particularly using Skillshare.com, and I really like Mind Valley Academy by Vishen. I've done a couple of courses with Vishen already, a couple of mini seminars, and I'm at the moment thinking about taking on full courses by his programs. I've interacted briefly with mentors that I seriously respect, including Tom Biliu, Stefan James, Patrick Bet-David, and Evan Carmichael. These are all, you know, very small interactions that I've had with them, but just to feel like I've connected with them. I recall also Deepak Chopra. He liked one of my Facebook shares, sorry, not Facebook, but Instagram, and, you know, just to feel like I'm interacting with a community of people that are, you know, that have achieved so much, and I really respect, you know, I see them as my mentors. That is super, super empowering. I am so excited to be part of this new world that previously just was not accessible to me. I tutored a doctor for writing, learning how to improve English writing and grammar and so on. And in the meantime, I learned about something that was really important to me, and that is digestion and irritable bowel syndrome. I think that's a problem that runs in my family, and so I'm particularly interested in digestion. I've established a morning routine and stuck with it religiously, with very few interruptions, almost every day in 2018. You know, I've been doing yoga, meditation, and either mantras, or I've followed a Tony Robbins morning routine that has really helped for me to set up my day every day in a really positive way. And I find that it builds a lot of strength for me. I joined Toastmaster meetups around the middle part of 2018. I joined Toastmasters meetups and began to get out of my anxiety of public speaking. I fear public speaking a lot, and so I began to push myself to attend these Toastmaster meetings. And in Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week, he talks about pushing yourself to do things that are really uncomfortable or difficult, that when you find something really challenging, that's precisely when you need to do it. And one thing that I always had anxiety about was asking for things, particularly of my boss, things like pay rises, things like vacation time. And there was one particular occasion in 2018, mid-2018, where I really wanted to go on vacation for 3 weeks, and nobody at my place of employment had ever really asked my boss to take 3 consecutive weeks off. And I decided that I was going to ask for it off because, first of all, I really wanted it. I wanted to go back and see my family. But second of all, I felt like by asking for something that I thought would make me nervous as hell, because I knew that I was asking a big deal of them, just because of the way their business works, and the fact that nobody else had actually manned up and asked for this, that it would be very empowering for me to at least challenge myself and ask for this time off. And you know, my boss, he spoke to his brother, they're co-owners, and they came back to me and they said, yes, we're going to give you that time off. So that's enough about me. Now let's make this about you. What are your successes? What are your failures for 2018? I would love to hear what you've got to share. Drop it in the comments below and let's keep this conversation going. Thank you.